Welcome back everyone, Slothcakes here to talk more about the oddities of Gundam. Now for today, we're going to be looking at some transformations. Because having a giant robot is clearly not enough, the thing's gotta transform as well. So we're going to be looking at many types of transformations, things of all shapes and sizes from various walks of life. What we're not looking at is the strongest transformation, nor the most tactical, and not the most revolutionary or groundbreaking. We're looking at some interesting transformations, be its design, how it transforms, what it transforms into, its benefits, its negatives, or that it's just neat. And while there's plenty to go over, I decided to pick 8 that piqued my interest and I wanted to share. So without further ado, and not in any particular order, let's jump in. Let's start with an iconic one, the Wing Gundam, with its transformation into bird mode. Now the wing is cool, and bird mode is just as cool. In fact, it's a transformation that actually has a separate name, like the Double Zeta turning into the G Fortress. But that's not why it's on the list. It's simply due to how simple its transformation is. It's so simplistic, you can half-ass the explanation and you won't get lost. Don't believe me? Let's try. The wing's head and waist 180s. Then its foot folds down, plus its knees buckle and tuck in, moving forward. The shoulders droop down with its armors and arms tucking in a bit, and its backpack opens up, spreading out. Then its buster is connected to the tip of its shield, and the shield is placed over the torso and head. Then bam, bird mode. Now due to its simplicity, this allows for every format of this guy, be it a figure or model kit like a high grade or real grade, to properly reenact its in-show transformation. Compared to other high grades of transformable mobile suits, especially older ones, they would have to be taken apart then reassembled into its transformation. But due to the simplicity of the wing, of it being a few 180s and it lying on its stomach, if Bandai wants the figure to transform, it will transform with ease. And also to mention, there's the Wing Zero that has a near identical transformation that just looks slightly different. It's basically the exact same process. However, I chose the wing because I do like it a little more, and the wing has these cute little claw legs that come out when it transforms, and it's just adorable. Moving to Universal Century towards Zeta Gundam, we have the Gaza-C, a weird looking guy. Strange silhouette to him, small head, thin waist, and he has this armpit pec connected cannon. Strange. And as for his transformation, he can become a flyer or a walker. It's a pretty simple transformation, with it being able to fly or the legs to be used normally or as claws. But this is when things get real interesting, and it's its development history. You see, the Gaza-C, due to resource problems, used many recycled parts from the Gaza-A and B. Now, despite this, it was a successful mobile suit. Excellent stats across the board, cheap to produce, and was mass produced. Overall, pretty dandy guy. But we are not here for that. What we're here for is a teeny weeny itty bitty flaw. You see, despite everything I said, the Gaza had a problem with its transformation. Due to the recycled parts and its design, its frame was weak, and what could handle the transformation, it had a limit. Reports came back that the Gaza would fall apart and break when it tries to transform one too many times. Now this wasn't a one and done, the average lifespan would be 3 combat missions, and that depends how many transformations you do a combat mission, but that wasn't given. But that's an average, so who knows, maybe like a light in your car, you wait a few months before you take it in and maybe nothing bad happens. Or maybe you don't even get a light and something bad happens anyways. Who knows, maybe you're the guy whose Gaza breaks on the 10th transformation, or the 2nd. Despite this, the problem must have not been that severe, since they still rolled with the thing and produced many. Plus they would fix this in future models, and the Gaza-C would spawn other mobile suits like the Gaza-D. Now the big question is, would I rock one? I don't think so. I feel like I would break it on the first try. But anywho, staying on Zeta, next up is the Baund Doc, a name I'm not sure I'm pronouncing correctly. Like the prior, he's an odd looking fella. I mean, we got a strange feline looking head, one arm's a claw, the other has a crescent shield, and just has a massive lower body. Also, this guy is huge. He stands at 27.3 meters, that's 90.22 feet, while the Zeta is at 19.85 meters, 65.12 feet. And for his transformation, he turns his body and tucks into his skirt armor, with his shield hand covering and sticking out the top. His legs move up and become claws. This turns him into a mecha horseshoe crab thing. And like one, if you peek under it, you get a surprise, but instead of the spindly horror of a horseshoe crab, you get to see the rest of the Baund Doc tucked away. How cute. Now, this transformation is used for high-speed, close combat, allowing him to close the distance fast. While in MA mode, he has access to his main weapon, the diffused mega particle cannon. Also, the aforementioned legs that become claws make effective melee weapons. And the claws, if needed, could be used as legs, and he can walk normally while his upper body is tucked away. While it's not the most exciting entry on the list, it's by far one of the cutest. I mean, come on, look at this guy, he's adorable. Especially when the top is tucked away and his legs are just out walking about, it's really cute. But this form does remind me of something, and it bothers me, I can't put my finger on it. So now we are heading back to Gundam Wing, but looking at a side story manga called New Mobile Report Gundam Wing Dual Story G Unit. For this has by far one of my favorite mobile suit transformations, and if you're a fan of the channel, you would easily understand why. So let's introduce the Gundam Burnlapius. A really cool looking mobile suit, amazing silhouette, got this amazing shoulder armor, awesome combo with his lance gun and that shield, beautiful. Looks beautiful, looks sexy, amazing guy all around. But here comes the finisher, because his transformation is the cherry on top. The Burnlapius can enter dual mode, where its leg armor opens up and its backpack thing covers its head and upper body. Then it becomes a Hygog. So we have the dual mode, which transforms the mobile suit so it can partake in intense close quarters combat, paired with the PX system, which enhances the mobile suit's overall performance. So when both paired and activated, turns this guy into the scariest Hygog out there, and also a spacefaring one. Now, in this transformation, he gains extra protection due to his backpack thing covering his body. He also has the Golem Claws. These long arms give him extra reach and they can easily shred a mobile suit. And now, I just gotta say this because it's so funny. This guy is hilariously dumb. I mean, you gotta look at it. In this mode, it's made for melee combat, but if you look at him normally, he looks plenty capable of close quarters combats. We got that huge ass shield and that big ass lance. This guy can hold his own in a melee fight. I mean, if he didn't have the backpack and it didn't transform, no one would bat an eye, it wouldn't look odd, he would still do the exact same thing he does with it, but he does have it because, well, it's cool. And I don't want to forget to mention, there's another mobile suit, the Burnlapius, which does the same thing, but instead it turns into a Zagok. Next, let me ask you a question. How would you like something that's like a mobile suit, but also a tank? No, not the gun tank, which does fit the bill, but I'm talking about Zeon. This is a Zeon thing. And no, not the Gigon, that fits the bill as well, I mean like a literal tank. No, not the Zaku tank. This opening's not going anywhere. Next up is the Hildolfr. This guy, in short, is a giant-ass tank. How giant? The Hildolfr has a length of 35.3 meters. That's approximately 2 Zaku 2s. This guy is huge, and for its transformation, the tank top just pops up and you have a torso with arms, giving him access to 2 manipulators. And he can do things like hold standard weapons, like shown with the 2 Zaku machine guns. Plus, with the swivel of his torso, he can engage in combat that would be impossible in tank mode. And in this mode, he still has access to his main weapon, the 30cm main cannon. Being almost as long as the Hildolfr itself, this thing originally belonged to a battleship. And it is terrifying. Anything this thing shoots at is not gonna exist anymore. But you do gotta be careful when firing, cause this thing's got one hell of a recoil. In tank mode, he can use his shovel arm to brace himself before firing. However, if he's in mobile mode and he fires this cannon, he can actually tip himself over, which is hilarious, but very dangerous. Now, is this transformation necessary? Debatable. Is a giant tank necessary? Again, debatable. But this is Zeon, so they would not just stop at an oversized tank. It would have to have some sort of dumb gimmick. Now, the Federation has one of their own known as the Assault Gun Tank, which can transform in a similar way, but the Assault doesn't have a comically huge cannon, but does have a flamethrower, which is neat. But the Hildolfr resonates this cool energy, so I had to pick it over the assault. But kudos to both of them for being giant tanks that can transform and throw hands. Now, while goofy, both of these transformations are like simple and easy to wrap your head around. Not too many moving parts, and I can actually see this actually being a thing. But there is one transformation that cranks us up to like 1,000, but we'll save that for another day. Coming up is a mobile suit that's just a definition of cool, and it's the Brave Commander. Coming from the 00 movie, Awakening the Trailblazer, we're just filled with cool mobile suits and some that can transform. The Brave takes the cake. Sharp design that sticks out, has a nice color to it, amazing head unit, and its beam rifle's name is the Drake Howling. Come on, that's beautiful. Plus, we can't forget the mobile suits that help lead to this guy, which is a different conversation by itself. But then comes the transformation. A simple design with a simple process that when you look at it, it looks like a fighter. But also, due to the Brave's design, you can clearly see how he enters and exits this mode, which is something I just personally like. I like how I can see this transformation and not even see it transform or in motion, but I can see how it enters and leaves this mode. But the peak for this guy is him in motion. It's a thing of beauty. Piloted by the one and only Graham Acre, he has an amazing track record of just having the coolest mobile suits, and every time this guy's on screen, some really cool shit's about to happen. But overall, it's a mobile suit that utilizes both modes effectively, and it's just a nice visual seeing a mobile suit go in and out and not just use its MA mode for transportation. And while there are others that do the same and do it more, the Brave does it cooler. It's just a cool mobile suit, what else can I say? Now on the topic of cool, let's move on to our next guest, which is a special one since it's 3 units, so let's introduce the Build Busters. The team consists of Umi Tryon, a flying amphibious unit, Sora Tryon, an eagle, and Riku Tryon, a lion. And by themselves, they got some neat quicks, but we're not here for that. The 3 units can combine, and one long transformation sequence later forms the mighty Tryon 3, based off the double Zeta, but if you cranked up the super robot even higher than it already was. This guy is just so awesome. Now this is when things get even crazier. As you expect, he has the high mega cannon on his head and the backpack cannons like the double Zeta, but also rocket punch, chest I-beams, V-fin boomerang, lion head shockwave, leg claws, arm blades, and if you're wondering where the eagle head is, it's the handle to the sword, because what else would it be? Now sadly, this guy wasn't a main major character, because if he was, he would get a 4th unit that's introduced late in the series that would give him a new form. But we can overlook this because he's just perfect. From his attacks, his looks, and even his transformation, and just the constant posing, everything's just a love letter to the older super robots, and it's so beautiful. I love this dude, he's awesome. Also, he has a high grade, and if you can find it, I'd recommend picking it up. And this guy reinforces a theory I have, that if you get anything and slap a lion's head on its chest, it becomes infinitely better, because, well, it's cool. Now, for the finale, we have the biggest entry on our list, the Psycho Gundam. Being a mobile armor, it stands at 40 meters tall, or 131.24 feet. This is almost 2 1/4 of the RX-78. Unlike any mobile armor, it's riddled with weapons of the mega particle variety. Being on his hands, chest, and even forehead for some reason, it took a page of the Zeonic of just shooting beams out of every orifice of your body. But something I always forget is that it can transform. Becoming Mobile Fortress mode, this always looked odd to me, mostly due to how it moves. In the anime, it just kinda T-poses around, asserting its dominance. And it looks really goofy in motion, but this is due to the Minovsky craft system. This enables atmospheric flight, which is why it looks like it's just floating about oddly. Also, if you look closely, you can see the arms and legs in this transformation. It's not actually too complicated, it kinda just squats and bundles up. The legs and shield do the most complicated work, with the legs opening up, collapsing in, and the shield splitting apart. Also, its head gets encased, protecting it, which is a good idea. But I don't expect too complicated of a transformation with something this huge. I feel like that's just begging for something to go wrong. But one of the oddest things, and maybe others also see this, but it looks like it's facing the wrong way. Due to the top nose thing that houses the head, it looks like it should be the front, and these wing things, which is the shield, makes it look like a plane, like a standard flyer. And I know it's not like this due to its weapons needing to face forward, the ones on its chest, but it always bothered me. But even with this oddity, don't second guess it because this thing is terrifying, and I do love it. While not the only transforming mobile armor, not the strongest, nor maybe my favorite, it is an iconic one, and I had to mention it, and I felt like it was just perfect to end this list off with. But there we go, 8 interesting transformations for one reason or another. And yes, with how large Gundam is, there is plenty more to talk about. Maybe that's for a later time, but till then, if you have a suggestion or if you want to share your favorite transformation, leave in the comments. But like usual, Slothcakes here, hope you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time.